Hello, Chris from Genuine Chill here, now with 50% more dog. If you're wondering, Chris, why do you have a stupid fucking smile on your face? That is because I've been playing Nemesis on the latest PTB and holy shit. First off, I want to tell you, I told you guys it was not going to be the Dimitrescu daughters or Dimitrescu daughters. It was Nemesis, and I'm so glad it was. So there's a couple of things I want to cover about Nemesis through my experience, through my very short time with him, and I also want to talk about the perks and stuff. So first, let's talk about the perks. Now, I was looking through the survivor perks, and I think the survivor perks are okay. There's one I'm kind of curious about, which is Jill's perk where she heals herself after getting unhooked for a certain portion. But let's not talk about that. Let's focus on Nemesis. The main perk I want to talk about first is Lethal Pursuer. The one where at the start of a trial, the auras of all survivors are revealed to you for 5 seconds. What the fuck? That is bad. That's really bad. You're sacrificing a whole perk slot. Keep this in mind. You're sacrificing an entire perk slot for a perk that's going to work for at least 5 seconds at the beginning of the match, and then it's gone. It is gone. It is not like a Noah totem where it's going to give you value until it gets taken away from you. It is going to be taken away from you from the first 5 seconds of the game, and who thought of this perk? The only killer I could see this being really good on is Blight, because Blight, in my opinion, has one of the best mobility. He has the best mobility in the game because he always has constant access. Oni probably has better mobility than him, but Oni has to earn his power while Blight constantly has it. So with Lethal Pursuer, you could play Blight, immediately see who's where, rush over and get a chase in right then and there, causing tremendous pressure on the survivors. But other than that, I don't see any type of killer at the moment. I could totally be wrong. You guys could totally tell me that I'm wrong, and I'm gonna be cool with that. But this seems like this is a perk I like to call a training wheels perk. There's a few perks in the game that are already like this that are more for new this is more for new players than actual like seasoned veterans. And the problem I have with that is this is the DLC. It feels kind of bad to pay money and then get a perk like Lethal Pursuer as a veteran of the game. But whatever, let's talk about his next perk, which is Hysteria. This one I actually really dig because of the possibilities, bro. So Hysteria is whenever you put a healthy survivor in the injured state with a basic attack, all injured survivors suffer from Oblivious for at least 20 seconds at the minimum. And Hysteria could be triggered once every 60 seconds. I still haven't seen the tier 3 values of this because I haven't gotten them on the Blood Web. I should probably do the kill your friends and they'll show me. Sorry, my dog is snoring really loud. She's a bulldog, she can't help it. She was just made that way. I have questions about this perk. So the fact that it states putting a healthy survivor into the injured state with a basic attack implies that this does not proc when you put an injured survivor into the down state. So I was thinking originally, oh, this would be a really fun perk with Plague, because Plague constantly has everyone hurt. And everyone who's injured will be put into the Oblivious status effect. But since it specifically says, and behavior is very, they're very picky with their words because they don't want any confusion. The fact that it says going from healthy to injured means that if a survivor is broken and you down them, it's implied that Hysteria will not proc. So I went from thinking this would be a great Plague perk, so she could constantly be basically just invisible to everyone, to thinking, oh, that's not good on her. This could be good on killers such as Legion. Legion's fucking good at making sure a lot of people are injured at all times. Same with Oni, because Oni players tend to slug. But because of the wording on Hysteria, I'm not entirely sure how good it's gonna be. Because if it said whenever you hit a survivor, that's a different story. That means even if you down them, you still get the Hysteria proc. But since it's telling you when you put a healthy survivor into the injured state, that means if you hit an injured survivor into the down state, this is not going to trigger, which kind of sucks. I don't know, maybe they'll change it up. This is definitely like a fun perk that I want to play around with, but I don't know how strong it's going to be because of that wording. Finally, we have Eruption. After kicking a generator, its aura is highlighted in yellow. When you put a survivor in the dying state with a basic attack, every affected generator explodes, regressing their progress by 6% and causing their auras to disappear. Any survivor repairing a generator when it explodes will scream and suffer from the incapacitated status effect for 10 seconds. So just a reminder, incapacitated in the game means you literally can't do shit. Like, you can't play the game for 10 seconds. You cannot do gens, you cannot heal yourself, you cannot mend, you can't do anything for 10 seconds, which is kind of big. Also kind of situational. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this perk. Because, okay, one, you have to kick the generator. So since you have to kick the generator specifically means that it's not going to proc with things, it's not going to proc with Ruin. You can have Ruin and then just have instant access to Eruption at all time, which is a good thing. That would be incredibly fucking overpowered. That would be so damn strong. But on the flip side, you can proc this with Pop Goes the Weasel to get maximum value on like a single generator. Like if they're focusing a single generator, you do Pop Goes the Weasel to regress the first 25%. And then when you down someone, Eruption will hit them with a 6%. And if someone's working on that generator, they'll also get incapacitated and they can't touch the gen. That's like maximum value. That's like the best case scenario you want for this perk. But I don't know. I kind of want to see if this perk has synergy with other perks. Because like I said, the fact that you have to kick the generator to proc this on it raises some questions. Because how does that work with Oppression? Will that work with Oppression? Because Oppression also applies that kick effect to 3 generators, including the one you just hit. So if this works with Oppression, this actually might be a pretty cool perk to play around. But again, I don't know if they're going to have it where it only specifically applies to the generator you kicked. You have to kick the generator, and the Oppression's other 2 procs don't count for Eruption. But I don't know, if that is the case, I feel like Eruption and Oppression will be a super fun perk to play with. So if I had to rate these perks from best to worst, fucking Lethal Pursuer is easily the worst perk. I might even label it like one of the worst perks in the game, besides No Mither. But at least No Mither has the value of being a fucking meme perk. Lethal Pursuer, I don't know, it's too much of a training wheels perk to really take seriously. Second would be Hysteria. I want this to be a good perk. This sounds like it could be a fun perk, but with the caveat of you having to activate it by hitting a healthy survivor instead of an already injured survivor kind of puts a hamper on what you could do with this perk. But we'll see. I think it has potential. I think it could definitely be a fun perk to play around. And Eruption is definitely the best of the 3 so far. Even if it doesn't stack with Oppression, there's definitely some cool things you could do with it. Like I said, if you combine this with Pop Goes the Weasel, and you regress 25% of that gen, then immediately go to someone else and hit them, you go from 25% of that gen being regressed to about 31, if my math is correct. I don't know if my math is correct. If that's not correct, I'm going to be really sad, but at the same time, I'm a liberal arts student. But even then, this is also a pretty good gen defense perk in its own, because like I said, if you do all that, you pop a certain gen that survivors are like bum rushing, and then you go and down someone, and those survivors happen to be already on that gen as you down someone, then they get affected with incapacitated. So that buys you 10 seconds. You could use those 10 seconds to hook the person and go straight to that gen without losing too much out of it. So yeah, I think Eruption is definitely the best of the bunch. Now let's talk about Nemesis Power, the T-Virus. Now the thing is about the T-Virus is it's very similar in the vein of Michael Myers, where it starts off weak and then you gain tiers to make it stronger and stronger. So far, I haven't had a problem with it. My strategy so far has been to bum rush to Mutation 3 because you can kill the zombies with your tentacle and gain mutation off of it. So I don't think zombies are very useful in the early game, so I just knocked their shit with the tentacles so I could get that easy Mutation 2 so I could destroy the pallets. But my problem lies with Mutation 3. In Mutation 1, your tentacle is pretty short ranged. I think it's even shorter than a killer lunge in some cases. But when you get to Mutation 3, it is pretty decently long. I want to say it's as long as Pyramid Head's ranged attack. The problem with that is I feel like for something that you have to work towards, it should be a little bit stronger than that. Because like I said, Pyramid Head has that ability built in from the start. You could do it whenever you want. Nemesis has to earn that Mutation 3. So since you have to earn that Mutation 3, I feel like the payoff should be just a little bit better. I don't think it's bad right now. I don't think it's horrible. It's certainly useful. I've had so many instances in the short games that I played that I hit a survivor through a pallet, or someone tried to come back to the pallet and flashlight blind me, and I fucking knocked them on their ass because of that mistake. Still, I think at Mutation 3, they could get away with making it just a little bit stronger. I think the only thing they need to do is just add a couple more, like, inches, feet, whatever you want to that range, and it'll be good. Overall, I think Tentacle Strike is not a bad power. I'm a big fan of basically earning your power. I'm a big fan of like working towards like an end game build where your power is like a lot stronger than it was at the start, such as Myra's and Oni. So I'm actually a big fan of this. I'm a huge fan of this ability, and it's been a ton of fun to play. Now the last part, holy shit, I love this. I love this, dude. Zombies. Nemesis comes with zombies. Every map that Nemesis plays are gonna have zombies in it. So I haven't played the RPD station, which I fucking wish I can. The load times are taking forever and I'm losing patience. I'll probably do a kill your friends with some personal friends of mine later. What I've noticed about the zombies so far is that they're not entirely useful immediately, which is why I highly recommend you use your tentacles to kill them in the early game. But when generators start going and the zombies start converging in one section, they actually become a threat that you can work around with. I've had moments in the game where I actually pushed a survivor into a zombie because I cut him off in the path that he was going, so I forced him to loop in another direction, which was my way of telling him, hey, fuck around and find out. And then he fucked around and found out that there was a zombie in the corner. And all according to plan, that dude ran to the zombie, got hit, and then he got hit by my tentacle and instantly got down. That is super cool. That makes, like, the zombie's usefulness so much better. Like, there's so much you could do with that. Another thing that happened, and this is... Dude, this is probably my favorite moment in Dead by Daylight ever now, is someone tried to flashlight blind me while they were injured. And as he was doing it, I basically looked up and missed. And then the fucker got greedy and tried it again. The second time he tried it, a zombie came up behind him and just fucking wah, and knocked him down to the ground, instantly down. And I looked at him on the floor, I looked at the zombie, looked back at him, looked at the zombie, and was just like, nice. Fucking nice. Like, that shit was hilarious. Again, I don't think the zombies are gonna be entirely useful, but there's some moments where they just fucking come in clutch. It almost makes me wish they added a feature where the Nemesis could go up to a zombie and give him like a little pat on the head and be like, you did good, boy. You did good. Or girl. So those are my early impressions of Nemesis so far. I am loving playing him. I am loving what they did with the chapter. I love having Jill and fucking Leon in the game. I love having the RPD station. Although I haven't played on the RPD station, but I have some worries about that because that map is fucking huge. I've speedrun Resident Evil 2 Remake a lot. I've gotten S ranks on both Leon and Claire on A campaign and B campaign. So I know that layout like the fucking back of my pimp's hand, but I also know that layout is pretty damn big, so I'm kind of curious how that's gonna play. Because it also has a lot of tight corridors, so for killers like Huntress and Trickster, there's not a lot of room to work with if they got a slight lead on you, especially for Trickster, dude. Trickster's gonna have a horrible fucking time on that map. Huntress, not so much. But like I said, this chapter, they're just fucking knocking out of the park so far with this chapter. I'm really enjoying it. I'm having a blast. It's getting my interest back in Dead by Daylight. I still play Dead by Daylight like not even almost every day. I still play it a few times a week, and that's mainly for video purposes, but this is gonna make me like no life Dead by Daylight just like I used to do back in the day. And can we please get a legendary skin for Chris and Claire? Please? I mean, come on. That's free fucking money. That is free money. You want my wallet? Here, let me flash my fucking debit card so y'all could steal it too. Like, oh my god, that's all I want. And I hope we get it. But anyways, I am Chris from Genuine Chill. If you liked the video, you should like the video. And please, leave a comment. I really want to see what everyone thinks. Go ahead and tell me if you think I'm wrong about the perks. Go ahead and tell me if you think Nemesis is too strong or too weak in his current state. Just tell me everything you want to say, dude. I will listen. I am very curious to see what the community's reaction to chapter is. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I will hopefully see y'all next time.